Welcome to a mystery hour. I am Lisa Fulford, your creative coach, and today is October 31st, so it's Halloween. And I have my shirt on. It's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown. Trying to get in the spirit for Halloween. And last night I had, oh my gosh, I bet 50 or 60 trick-or-treaters, and I normally only have about 15, and they were bringing in flatbed trailers, and like 15 kids were getting off the trailers. So anyway, that was fun, but it was like my doorbell was ringing all night long. So anyway, I just wanted to get in the Halloween spirit. I don't like gory Halloween, but I like cutesy stuff. But today, for a mystery stamp, I'm going to make a Christmas card. So let's get started with our clues, and then we will put the card together. So for the card base, we need an 8.5 by 5.5 scored at 4 1/4. So that's just the basic card base. That's this one. Put it over here. Well, put it right there. And then the next thing that we need is basic white or very vanilla. And I'm going with very vanilla for what I chose for my paper, my images and stuff. And so the fun thing about Mystery Stamp is that you use all the products that you have in your craft space, and I use what I have in my craft space. And I will always try to use current stuff, not always, because sometimes it's fun to get out some of that retired stuff and play with it. But you pick out your cardstocks, your DSPs, and all that to make your card. So you're making the design or close to it, and you can change it up however you want. And then we have all these different types of cards, but pretty much using the same pattern. So that's what Mystery Stamp is all about. Clues, you cut it out, and then we put it together, we stamp together, and then we all have different cards. So I'm using very vanilla. I use basic white a lot, but I'm using very vanilla. So for my inside piece, I have a 3.5 by 5" piece. And then, whoops. Let me look. I think hang on. All right. I put the wrong piece over there. I have a 2 3/4 by 5.5, and we're going to emboss that and then cut it down. I haven't done mine ahead of time. I'm going to do it as we go. And then I have a piece for my sentiment. Now I decided not to do the basic white and very vanilla because I decided to switch mine up and make it a collar. So this one here is Mossy Meadow, and this is Old Olive. Then for the cardstock, with a background stamping on it, so to have a, where you stamp out your own background, you can do that. But I chose to do DSP, and the one that I chose, because it says or Designer Series paper, the one I chose to do is a Vellum. And so it's 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. But because I have Vellum, I had to cut another piece of the very vanilla 1 3/4 by 5 1/4 to put behind that. Because if you have, I'll just show this. If you have Vellum, and it's harder to see it on the dark background, but if you put a piece of lighter cardstock behind it, it makes it pop. So I wanted to do that because I wanted to use this paper. And then I have a piece of DSP that is 3/4 by 3.5. And then I already stamped my sentiment. So it's the same size. I just stamped it and then I angled the edges. And then I have a piece of greenery that I cut out, and then I'm going to use it to do the inside of my card. So that's all the bits and pieces that we have. Some of the other things that I'm using for my optional things, I am using the copper clay, ink pad, and I have it's the gold, we have it, and it's silver and gold ribbon here. Now, I know this is unavailable at this time, but you could use any type of ribbon. And then I am loving these pearls that are called blooming pearls, so I'm going to use those. And the sentiment that I'm going to use is this one here from the Merriest Trees that says, hoping your home is filled with the spirit of the season. So I'm using that. And then I'm also using this exposed brick embossing folder. That's the one that I chose to use with my for my card today. So I'm gonna move. I'm finished with everything that I'm using, I do believe, and then like dimensionals and liquid glue and that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna move that off to the side. And the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna do the embossing. You probably have already done yours, but I chose to wait and do mine during the mystery hour. So I'm going to grab that piece. I'll pull these down. I know it's going to shake the camera, but I'm sorry about that. This one down. So pretty much, I'm just going to take my embossing folder. I'm going to slide this in. I'll try to line it up with that line along the bottom here. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I want it fairly straight. I tried to get my camera farther away. I think I got it closer, but we'll make it work. So we're going to run this through. Move all this back out of the way. Alright, so this is what I'm left with for my embossed piece. Bring in my paper cutter. I normally don't do all the steps like this, but I thought I would today. And for this one, we're going to cut it down to 1 3/4 by 5 1/4, and it leaves you that 1 by 5 1/4. So 1 3/4. Right there. And the 1 inch is over here on the side. It lines up beautifully. So there's my 2 pieces. All right, so there's that. I'm going to put some of my bits and pieces together. All right, so I'm going to take my vellum and put on here. You all probably just have DSP, or you're stamping an image, so you could be stamping your image, or maybe you've already done it. So I'm just gonna, I usually would take a finger dauber and spread this around, but with this image on here, I think I can do it just by adding it to the backs where it's dark. Try not to put too much because I don't want it to look bad. And I'm going to put one right behind that little white dot. Because it doesn't all have to be glued down, but I don't want it not to stick either. Alright, so I have a silicone mat here, just for saving my work surface. I'll put this on here. And hopefully I cut them the exact same size. Vellum has a tendency to curl when it has glue on the back. Got a little bit of glue on my spatula, and I just wipe it on the silicone mat. All right, so I'll give that a moment to dry. And then I'm going to take my centerpiece. I'm going to work on that. Now, I'm adding a little bit more to my centerpiece than what I normally do. And so I'm going to take my snips here. And I want to kind of trim between these leaves here. So I have that piece to use here in a moment. But I want to put this down. I think I'm going to glue it on and then trim it down. So I'm going to take dots of glue. So I'm just trying to pretty up the inside. All right. So I'll add this up here. I'm going to go off the page just a bit. I'm going to flip it over and trim any pieces that are hanging over. I'm going to trim them off. This is the edge that I cut it away from the other piece. So I didn't want those pointy edges. So I want to make it look like I meant to do that. All right, so then now I'm going to take this piece. So I'm just showing you some other ways that you can do the inside. I think I'm going to add it back here, kind of like that. So I just want to put on this bottom little spot here, I'm going to put, whoops, that is not a dot. That's a glob. I'm going to stick it behind this piece. And then I'm just going to add some glue. A lot of times I just put like a straight line, but this is a little bit wider, so you can put glue on it easily. So add that to there. And with these leaves, you got to be careful because there are cuts in them, and the glue will seep out sometimes. Now we're going to bring in our card base and put our inside there. Adding it to the inside of our card. All right, so there's the inside. It looks really pretty. So I'm going to take my bone folder, crease that. Now what I'm going to do with these other pieces, I'm going to grab my dimensionals and I'm going to take the 1-inch piece first. I'm going to put dimensionals, like if I put it here, I'm going to put dimensionals on that outside edge and not over here on what's going to be the inside edge. So I'm just flipping it towards me like that. And then I'm going to add dimensionals along that edge of that 1-inch embossed strip. Just like that. Trim these off, or take these off. Like that. And then I'm going to turn my cardstock. This is the open edge. I'm going to try to line that up. And if I don't press these down, I can arrange them. That actually looks pretty good that first try. Now I will press those down. So then the next thing I'm going to do is my DSP or the stamped image. And I'm just going to add glue to it. I'm going to tuck it under that lip that does not have dimensionals on it. Just go slide it under just ever so slightly. And I want to line up the bottom and line up that top. Oops, mine's crooked. I'm glad I'm using glue so that I can slide it around. There. That looks pretty straight. Alright. And then now I'm going to add dimensionals to the back of this other piece. And there's not really any specific way for you to do it. I'm probably doing more than I need, but having trouble with these backings. Sometimes they just pop off before you want them to, and then other times you just can't get them. Alright, so I'm looking at my image so I can decide. I think it goes this way, and it doesn't matter with my pattern, but it may with yours. Then with this, I'm going to do the lining up again. That looks pretty good, so I'm going to press that down. Alright, so this is what I have so far, and I've got it pretty well lined up. I have a little bit hanging over there, and I don't know that I'm worried about it, but I don't know if I could trim. I guess maybe I could. I maybe shouldn't. So there. All right. Now on to the rest of it. So we'll take our ink, our sentiment. I have one already in case I mess this up. You never know. I'm going to line this up, and I'm going to try to get mine to the left. Well, I think I want to center it. I think I changed my mind midstream when I made the card. I was just going to do one end, and then I decided to do both ends. So my end just kind of flows up. So I'm just going to ever so slightly trim it at an angle. And then I'm going to go the opposite way with this other end, because this one's an S and it tilts, and then the end tilts, but there you go. You can do either however you want. You can be straight. You don't have to trim it. And then I'm going to take some of my ribbon, or you don't have to have ribbon. I needed something more for mine. So I'll zigzag this back and forth. I'm sorry. Like that. I want to bring in some glue dots. Got my take your pick tool here, and I'm going to pick up a glue dot. So put it there. Put it down here. And we'll start trying to press this down into those glue dots. I'm going to try to hold it in place, and I'm going to add a few more glue dots just to try to hold it. This is a kind of a stiff ribbon, so it takes more of the glue dots. I think I'm going to use about 4 because I'm going to do something else to help hold it in place. So there's that. I'm going to put a dimensional on both ends of my sentiment. wish I knew what that chime was that is always on my computer. So if anybody knows, let me know. Put some of this out of the way. I'll pick that up. I'm going to overlap my ribbons. Kind of bring that down. Straighten my sentiment. Kind of like that. And I'm going to add my little embellishments. I really like these. I love these gold ones. I used a lot of the pretty peacock ones before. Take a large one. I'll put it down here. Take a large one, put it up here. Let's do a small one in that corner. Like that. So that is our mystery stamp. So we solved the mystery of our clues. So with just a bit of ribbon, and you could do it where it was looser, and then putting a little bit of the gold on there to tie that in. And then I use the I don't know, copper clay for the ink, and that kind of brought it in for the stems of the vellum. And here's the one I made before. I did the ribbon looser, more, I guess, loopy. And this one here, I kind of made a little bit more compact just to show the difference. So there is our card. So I hope that you enjoyed this pattern and that it wasn't difficult by running this through the embossing folder and then cutting it down. That saves you time, so that way you're not having to emboss two different pieces. And it makes it more of a uniformed, it flows better. And then by me putting the vanilla behind my vellum that I have, that made the images pop. You could stamp the images on the strip of cardstock. You could use DSP for that, however you wanted to do that. So this is basically my DSP, but because it was see-through, I put the cardstock behind it. That's why I had an extra piece than what you guys did. So I hope that you enjoy this and that I even stepped up the inside. A lot of times I, maybe just put the DSP inside there. Once in a while, I'll stamp something on it, but it's for Christmas, and so I wanted to step it up a little bit because I'm trying to get all my Christmas cards made that I'm going to need this year. And so I've already got a jump on that quite a bit. So you'll probably be seeing some Christmas cards more often on Mystery Stamp. I don't know. I need lots of birthday cards too. So thank you for joining me for this mystery hour, and happy stamping.